Karradyne! Karradyne!
What?
Are you ready?
No.
Why aren't you ready? I've been waiting for the past 20 minutes.
Because this look takes time.
What look?
And you didn't tell me we were going to do this until 10 minutes ago. You got ready without telling me we were going anywhere.
I mean, we've been talking about going to the arcade for the past...
But you didn't give me a specific time.
I told you 5 weeks ago when we did our last regular episode of anovelconsole.
You need to give me reminders, and you know this.
Well, anyways, are you ready to go to the arcade?
I will be in like 15 more minutes.
Fine. I guess we'll wait. In the meantime, a Shortcake and a Metal Slug enjoy Truffle fries. Hello, welcome to anovelconsole, your weekly podcast where we talk about books, games, food, and stuff that caught our attention during the week. My name is Chris, and with me is my beautiful co-host and wife, Karradyne.
Hi.
What was that?
Me trying to mask a belch.
A belch?
It wasn't a belch, it was a silent burp.
Hey, it's okay. You know who else burps?
Rick?
No, our Patreon supporters. They are subscribed to our Patreon for $2. They get entered into our monthly video game and book giveaway, and they are having a good time. And speaking of Patreon, we are going to upload a really fun episode Sunday. We have it all written out. We have it all ready. This is going to be our first Patreon episode after we started it about 4 months ago. Karradyne, you should be ashamed of yourself.
You know what? Life has been hard.
It has. So, 5 weeks without a regular episode.
It's a long time. I don't even remember what I'm doing anymore.
Well, you're going to have to get into it because this is going to be a pretty long episode and a pretty good one at that, I think. And we are recording from a new room, so you are not going to hear that classic dishwasher pulling water or ice tray pulling water that we used to get.
But you might still hear some motorcycles.
Yeah, those fucking assholes have been just riding up and down the fucking street today.
You won't hear Luna schlepping.
No, she's actually sleeping behind us. But what have you been doing these past few weeks? What's been going on in the world of Karradyne? Because I feel like we don't even talk when we're not recording.
You're so full of shit.
The people don't know that. The listeners don't know that.
I've gained several boyfriends in the last 5 weeks.
Oh boy.
Several.
I know one of them.
You should know 2 of them.
Well, I gained 5 boyfriends, so...
So, my first boyfriend is the Duke of Hastings, Simon Hastings from Bridgerton. If you haven't watched Bridgerton yet, I don't know what the fuck you're doing with your life. It's amazing. It is everything I've ever wanted. Think those books that I raved about, The League of Extraordinary Women, in show form, because you have Regency sex. And it's wonderful.
I keep thinking every time you say A League of Extraordinary Women that you're going to say A League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
That movie scared me.
Really?
Yeah.
Why? What's it, Sean Connery?
No, it was when that dude takes off the mask or whatever and his face is all fucked up. It's been a really long time. I only ever saw it that one time in theaters.
I've seen bits and pieces, so I don't...
My dad took us to see that one too because he thought since we like Lord of the Rings and Star Wars that we would love that too. Nope.
That's funny.
That was scary.
So while you've been watching a lot of Bridgerton, I finally decided to sit down and watch all of Metaloclypse, all 4 seasons.
It's so annoying. I don't even watch it and I just hear it and it's so annoying.
So I used to watch this show back in high school because I was part of the group of the kids that used to listen to rock and only rock. And we were all obsessed with Metaloclypse, the show and the music. And I feel like an era's done now that I've watched the whole thing and I saw the final episode / movie, which is a metal rock opera, and it is so fucking good. I've been listening to it nonstop. Now I understand why people get obsessed with musicals, because it was fucking awesome.
Now if you would just watch like Mamma Mia with me and enjoy it.
No. I watched the second one and no. No. It is not metal.
It's James Bond.
Don't do that to my boy. You know what? Let's continue. What else have we been watching? What did we finish recently?
We finished Mandalorian.
Why are you crying?
I miss Grogu.
Oh, Lord.
I miss him so much. I just want him so badly.
You heard that? Luna's crying now because you're saying that you missed something that she isn't. You're hurting her feelings. You're making her feel bad.
Let's be honest, though. Grogu is like just a little bit cuter than her.
And that's it for this week's episode of A Novel Console. No, but seriously, it's a really good fucking show, isn't it?
It's the best. It is the best. I am so glad that you made me watch the original trilogy and made me watch the whole thing in order. I think I'm obsessed now.
Now you get it?
Yeah, I get it.
Because when we were finishing it, you said that you wanted to sit down and watch everything Star Wars, even read the books. I was like, no, don't read the books.
I don't want to read the books.
Let's just watch the TV shows, and that should be fine. That should be good enough. But
I'd rather be reading. But Grogu is so cute. I need more. I can't wait until December. I can't.
That's funny.
And I thought that Pedro Pascal was just gonna be my voice boyfriend, and then he took off his helmet.
I guess. All right, so you ready for a book
You
talk?
said you were okay with that one. Yes.
Yes, he is not a fake man like Jason Momoa. Jason Momoa is not a real man.
Reggae Jean Paul is not a fake man either.
I have no idea who the hell that is. Reggae Jean Paul. Okay, so is it?
He's the guy
is
from
it Sean?
Bridgerton.
No, is he Sean Paul the singer?
Sean
Paul the singer, but reggae.
Oh my God.
He does reggae Sean Paul.
I can't talk.
Instead of. Good love, what if it could feel more? No.
No.
Okay, let's go to book talk.
This week's book is The Hating Game by Sally Thorne. It was published by William Morrow Paperbacks on August 9th, 2016. Okay, so I know that seems like a long time ago and potentially not relevant, but I promise you that it is. 2020 was the year I discovered that I really freaking love romance, as y'all probably well know by now.
Okay, let me interject here for a second.
No.
You used to love Twilight and
I was
all those YA books, right? You still love YA books.
Yes.
You always say that the best part is the romance.
Yeah.
Why do you think you wouldn't like romance?
Because I don't know. Unfortunately, romance is like viewed as something lesser. Like that's I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. I feel like people look down on it as a genre, as like not
for girls,
elevated
for women.
enough. Then they think we're being stereotypical women if we only like to read romance. I don't want to be a stereotype.
Isn't romance just porn with more words?
That's
right?
terrible.
Right?
It is sophisticated porn.
There you go. That's what I meant.
It sounded more sophisticated when I said it.
That's true.
Anyway, so we may have scoffed at the romance as teens while we were knee-deep in our sparkly vampire fantasies. But we've grown now and need to accept that romance is not bad or cheesy or lesser than. In fact, I would argue that it is greater than. So my book's to bestie. Her invoice is getting even more elaborate at this point. Erin, you better pay up. Recommended this one to me when I really started to get into the genre. And then Fable Bands made this really beautiful, vibrant yellow band for this book that I wound up buying before I actually read it. Don't worry. It's only bitten me in the ass once. But I still love the band.
How did it bite you in the ass?
I got one for Well Met before I read it, and Well Met was definitely in the bag of books that got donated to the secondhand bookstore. It wasn't very good. It wasn't bad.
Did the headband...
I wouldn't say go out of your way to read it.
Did the headband get donated too?
No, it's beautiful. It's pretty and green and got a pirate hat on it and flowers, and it's cute. And now I can at least say that I read the book. Anywho.
True.
So the hating game is an office romance unlike any other. Lucy and Joshua cannot stand each other, and they're constantly playing mind games and attempting to one-up the other in any and every possible way. Joshua has this awful nickname for poor Lucy, Shortcake, which is why that's in the title.
Is she a redhead?
No, but she's very tiny. And her parents are strawberry farmers. So he calls her Shortcake.
They missed her being a redhead.
I don't think she's a redhead.
The
I'm
author
pretty sure
missed.
She's a brunette.
The author
Oh
missed
God,
that
I could be
opportunity.
wrong. I'm pretty sure she's not a redhead. Pretty sure.
The author missed that opportunity then.
Oh gosh. So they play these games all day, like literal games. They have a staring game. They have an HR game. They have the hating game.
HR game? What the fuck is an HR game?
So like, say he says something to her about like being able to see her crotch in her dress. She's like, oh, Joshua, I could take that to HR. And he's like, well, not if I go to HR first with the fact that you were ogling my, I don't know, abs the other day. They just go back and forth. It's redonkulous.
Okay, if I hear people saying that in front of me, I'm immediately going to think that they're horny for each other.
Right?
Like, if somebody comes up to you and says that to you, what are you going to think?
This person is into me.
I'm going to HR because it's creepy. Mm-hmm. Jesus Christ.
But yeah, there is so much sexual tension here.
Wait,
you can cut it with a knife.
Before you continue, what is the hating game? What is the HR game? You explained it. What's the hating game?
Well, I think the hating game is just kind of like the encompassing all of the games.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it's who can hate more the most.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. And they have so many goofy nicknames. Like, Lucy has a nickname for Josh's boss, because Lucy and Josh basically have the same role, but they work for a publishing company that is two publishing companies that merged. And so they still have, like, the CEO of each publishing house, those two hate each other.
It's a book about horny
Yes.
people working for
The publishing industry.
Are they publishing their own book? In the world,
Oh,
like
we're not gonna go that deep
are
into
they in
it.
the world? Is the book that they're both working on to publish called The Hating Game? Are they vying for the author's
Well, just because
rights?
they're working in the publishing industry doesn't mean they're writing books.
They're vying for the publishing rights from the author of The Hating Game. So
my
the person
God.
that's writing this book is actually writing about these two horny assholes that want to publish her book.
You're taking away from my point about Lucy's nickname for Josh's boss.
I think we found something more important than the boss.
His nickname is Fat Little Dick.
What? Why?
Because he's fat and he's little and he's a dick.
Might as well call him a chubby.
Anyway, so it turns out that Lucy and Joshua don't really hate each other. And Lucy starts having these really steamy sex dreams about Joshua. And things just go downhill from there.
I could have told you they didn't really hate each other when they're like, oh, I like your crotch. Not if I take you to HR, you don't.
Yeah, so things start to go downhill. Downhill for their hating game, but uphill for their love game.
Was that in the book?
No, I came up with that myself.
Okay, I'm gonna give you points for making it sound like it was in the book, because it was really bad.
You need to stop talking now. My absolute favorite part of this book is the banter and Lucy's internal dialogue. It is so fucking weird. For instance, here is the quote that I chose to feature in my review that I posted on Bookstagram. I want to know what's going on in your brain. I want to juice your head like a lemon. Is that not like the weirdest, most quirky thing you've ever heard?
I want to juice my head like a lemon.
It's just so unnatural, but I think what makes it, what is so weird, or the weird things about it is what makes it so normal and relatable. Because it's like just being inside the head of this crazy little rabbit girl. Crazy little squirrel girl. Taking things back to our first episode.
Fucking dildo.
I can see these two using a squirrel dildo. But it just made them stop.
It's funny because Metalocalypse is a show from 2005 to like 2013. Mm-hmm. So they have a lot of jokes that right now wouldn't fly, like saying that stuff is gay.
Oh,
which
no.
that part, luckily in the last 2 seasons they kind of like got rid of those jokes. But
that's good.
The one that they kept for the entire series was these fucking assholes are dildo lickers. So they would be like in like fan meetings looking at the people and be like, look at that dildo licker, look at that dildo licker, look at that dildo licker. And you would see like the camera looking at these fucking people just happy to be looking at Death Clock. It's phenomenal. It's amazing.
My lord. Anywho, this story, these characters seemed so much more real than like your like cookie cutter romances that often just wind up to be too good to be true. I mean, I'm okay with cookie cutter and I'm okay with too good to be true, but this one just felt like a more realistic path to the too good to be true. So it was then good enough and true enough. I don't know.
So would you still think that even with that one line that you said, oh, you're looking at my crotch, oh, you're looking at my abs? It's something that normal people do whenever they're flirting or find somebody attractive in the workplace.
Well, I've never had a workplace romance, so I wouldn't know. Unless you count that crazy incident with that one person, but I don't.
It's funny because we've had to record that last 2 sentences
like
2 times.
Big.
Karradyne did something real bad.
At least we don't record for like a live audience.
I know. Woo! Yeah, no, we saved your ass from getting fired there.
Oops.
All right. So what does he want to say about the book?
5 stars. Solid. So fucking good. If I had finished this book, I finished it on the 31st of December. If I had finished this book back in November when I made my top 20 list, it would have been near the top.
Really?
It was so fucking good.
Really? Oh, now that you say that, I have a new number 1. It's not Persona 5 Royal anymore.
For 2020?
Yeah.
Really?
It's Yakuza.
All right. But you didn't finish that until...
No, not until...
after the first.
Yeah.
It doesn't count then.
No, it doesn't count. But just like you, I would have placed it higher. I would have placed it on number 1 because I don't cry. Ever. And I almost cried during the ending of that game.
He didn't even cry watching me walk down the aisle.
I was too happy. I was getting
the biggest,
married.
Smile on his face.
I was getting married to my best friend.
Oh, hubby.
My wife.
Oh, hubby.
My Karradyne.
Okay, that's weird now.
Yeah. Are you guys uncomfortable? Because I am. All right. Anything else so we can get out of this sappy mess hole?
Go read this book. Oh, and she has a new book. It's not like a sequel or anything, but she has a new book coming out in the next couple of months. That's like Sally Thorne. I don't remember the title right off the top of my head, but it's another romance. If it's anything like this, it'll be awesome.
Yeah, just Google Sally Thorne. I'm sure you'll find her.
Thorne with an E.
Thorne.
Thorne. Sally Thorne.
All right. So I guess that does it for the hating game, which that's actually a pretty fun name.
It's so good.
Is it funny? I don't think you said that it was
funny. It
is
fucking hilarious.
Well, with the milking the brain.
My ass off. Juice your brain like a lemon.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, it is hilarious. Highly recommend.
Sweet. So let's go ahead and get into our first arcade game of the month. And I'll tell you the name once we start games and stuff.
Bet you already know it.
So for this week's game, we have Metal Slug Anthology, and we played 1 through 3. And I do say we played because Karradyne actually sat down and played with me.
All of them.
All 3 of them.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. All the ones you mentioned.
Yeah, 1 through 3. So 1, 2, 3, or through is actually longer than saying two.
Yeah, it is.
Alright, so Metal Slug Anthology is a side-scrolling shoot-'em-up that contains the arcade classic Metal Slug series and the entries 1 through 6 and X. It was developed by Terminal Reality and published by SNK Playmore on December 14th, 2006 for the PS2, PS3, PSP, PC, and Wii.
How'd you say that so fast?
The version that we played was the PS2 version on the PS2 Classics on PS4. So starting with the original Metal Slug, it was released on April 19th, 1996. The series revolves around the Falcon Strike Force trying to take down the evil General Donald Morden. Morden has acquired the titular Metal Slugs. It's an all-terrain attack vehicle, and he is trying to take over the world's government, so it's your job as Marco and Tarma to stop him and bring peace to the world. And something that I forgot to tell you while we were playing, Tarma looks kind of like a monkey in the character select screen, because he has some giant-ass sideburns and sunglasses that look like monkey eyes.
Yeah, I noticed that.
George and I used to play this, and we used to call him Monkeys Malone.
Okay.
I don't know why we thought that was so funny. And then we played Metal Slug 2, released February 23rd, 1998. Morden is back to take over the world's government, but this time he has a formidable force from space helping him take over.
The space part is where things got real weird.
Eventually they betray him and try to take over the world themselves, so as the same team from before, plus 2 new female characters, Ari and Theo, the best characters, it's your job to stop Morden and his betrayers. During Metal Slug 3, released March 3rd, 2000, Marco and Tarma decide to wipe up the remaining enemy forces that were led by Morden, but find out that they're a bit too well organized, leading them to think that Morden might not be dead after the events of Metal Slug 2. Meanwhile, Theo and Ari fight a lot of bizarre creatures and monsters that make them believe that the aliens from the previous game are back. The graphics in the game are pixel perfection. They are bright, extremely detailed, and have the unique charm that SNK games have. They evoke the feeling of Friday nights at Pizza Hut with the family, popping quarters into an arcade machine, trying to beat an impossible game.
I remember those arcade games at Pizza Hut, but I don't think I remember this one. Granted, I was a girl. I'm still a girl. And I don't think I would have been drawn to this at all. I was a girl. I promise I've always been a girl.
Yeah, I hope.
I have. I have proof.
Good. So the animations in the game are wonderful. Every single character that appears on screen is incredibly fluid and filled with expression. My favorite part from the animation is how every character you control has a different idle animation, from shaking their hands off, from holding their gun, reloading, or talking on a phone. It is filled with charm and unique distinctive characteristics that pull this game apart from others in the genre. I am using big words and I am stumbling all over them. There are some excessive frame rate drops when the action gets too crazy. For example, there was a part where Karradyne and I were spanking ass all over the place, and the game chugged hard, even though we were playing on a PS4. And by saying Karradyne and I were spanking ass, I mean Karradyne got in Metal Slug, and she was wrecking shit.
He was like, "You're doing so well." Every time he said that to me, I started epic failing. Yeah. And dying like 2 seconds after coming back on screen.
There was a part where we were fighting an airplane on jetpacks, and I died and hit continue like 3 times, and you were still on that 1 health, and you kept grabbing the heavy machine gun, so you kept shooting, and I come back at one point, I'm like, "You're doing really well."
Dead.
As soon as I finished saying, "You're doing really well," you died. And you're like, "Well, every time you say that, I start dying," and you just kept dying and dying and dying and dying.
You need to stop complimenting me until we're done.
But yeah, no, she got into Metal Slug, and she was killing everything and destroying everything in front of her.
We should say that he always let me get the Metal Slug because he knew I needed it more than he did.
Yeah, but she was really good at it. She really got a hang of the Metal Slug really quickly. All right, sound design. The sound design in the game is impressive. Constant shooting, explosions, dying enemy screams, and the legendary announcer are always present in the game. Every time you pick up a weapon, the announcer screams the weapon's name. Heavy machine gun! Shotgun! While the fast-paced music plays in the background with incredibly detailed synths, drums, guitars, and fat bass slaps. The sound of this game echoed through arcade halls for years. I remember going to Pizza Hut, and one thing you could hear over all the other games was Metal Slug. If you go to an arcade and there's no Dance Dance Revolution machine, and there's a Metal Slug machine, you're going to hear Metal Slug over everything. Otherwise, you're just going to hear Dance Dance. The game is a side-scrolling run-and-gun shoot-'em-up, like I said. You have a one-hit health system with 3 lives and a few continues. We played this game with infinite continues because, well, it's an arcade game, and it is made for you to pop in quarters. We wanted to beat the game. We didn't want to be locked out of finishing the game because we kept dying too much. I got to the point where at the end of the game it said how many times we hit continue. I got 28 continues in one time. You got 34. Once you got 26. I got 31. So, that would have been games that we wouldn't have finished if we wouldn't have put on infinite continues. Which is fine. The point of the game is to have fun. It's not to bust your ass over it. So going back to the lives. The enemies also have a one-hit health system. Except for vehicles, bosses, and special enemies, this makes the game incredibly fast-paced because there are as many enemies appearing on screen as many bullets as you can shoot. So if you have a bullet, there's an enemy there that's going to take it. The power-ups like the heavy machine gun, grenades, and vehicles add a variety of ways to kill enemies. The way to get these power-ups is by saving prisoners of war or breaking the containers in the environment. You remember what the prisoners of war were? Mm-hmm. The dudes with the long blonde hair.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Thank you. Exactly. That stuck with you.
I really did. I noticed it every time.
Alright, so the problems with the game. I have very small complaints with the game. The first complaint is that some enemies are a fucking pain in the ass to deal with, like the zombies and the mummies, because instead of killing you, they turn you into one of them, and you get so slow.
It is redonkulous how slow it makes you.
You lose your heavy machine gun.
Thank you.
But you do get, at least as the zombies, you do get a blood vomit that is pretty good. It kills everything it touches, but the mummies fucking suck. And my problem with them is that they take too many bullets to kill. I mean, it's a fucking zombie. Just one shot in the head, it's dead. My second complaint is that some bosses are cheap as fuck, like that bastard in Metal Slug 1 and 2 with the machine gun who keeps jumping around and slashing his knife at you. No, he's more like bald bearded Rambo.
You said Metal Gear. That's why I said Snake.
No, it's not Snake. And I know I said Metal Gear. I got confused.
So
the thing is, every time I see Metal, I want to continue it with Gear.
Mm-hmm.
So
Metal Gear Solid.
Metal Gear. And my final complaint is that unless you play these games a ton, like I have, you can't tell apart what enemy attacks you can and can't shoot down. So this makes some boss fights incredibly annoying. Because sometimes you can shoot their bullets down, but then they throw fireballs at you and you can't shoot them down. So you're shooting at something thinking, it's not going to hit me.
It hits you.
And you get fucked and you lose a quarter.
Mm-hmm.
And this game is a coin-eat-em-up arcade style game.
Oh my god.
And Karradyne has thoughts about that.
I was losing my mind trying to keep track of how often I was dying. And which of those times meant that I needed to choose the continue option. I can't tell you how many times I just sat there for a few minutes waiting for my damn character to come back, only to realize after Chris had already died, because I wasn't there to help, that I had to select that I wanted to continue.
The first time you had to hit continue, you started pressing the
walking
button, and you chose Monkeys Malone. He pops up, and you're like, "Who the fuck is that guy?"
I didn't know what I was doing. It was very annoying.
He's very hairy for a girl.
Like, come on, this is not the arcade. I know it is the arcade game, but it is for a different console where I'm not plunking in quarters. Take that away, please.
I mean, that's one of the biggest problems with arcade ports is that they still have the arcade mentality where it's really hard, so you're going to die a lot because we need you to keep pumping quarters into this game. And that's probably going to be the problem with next week's game, although I did go through it by myself on one continue, so I don't think that's going to be that hard. It's a really fun game. I think you're really going to like that one, too.
Did you ever have to continue the other night?
Of course I did. A bunch of times.
I never saw continue pop up for you.
Because
I
I
wasn't
pressed
paying
it,
attention.
I pressed it really fast, and also you were in the zone. You would not talk or say anything. You were just kill, stab, kill, stab, kill, stab.
Drive my little metal slug.
Shoot.
Boom, boom.
So praises for the game. The game is an SNK arcade classic. It is pixel art at its most beautiful form. The backgrounds are incredibly detailed, like I said. At times it is gruesome, littered with dead bodies and blood all over the place, and incredible amounts of destruction that, let's face it, you cost most of the time.
Me?
And me.
Oh.
Yeah. Enemy deaths are gruesome with copious amounts of blood and at times viscera. But it is offset with little details. From characters reading the newspapers, sunbathing, cooking s'mores, eating a sandwich, or doing a drug exchange. Seeing these little quirks in the characters that you control as well also make the world feel lived in, which gives the world the sense of there's more to it than just the war, the shooting, and the carnage that's going on while you're going through stages. And one of my favorite things from this game series is in Metal Slug 3, which is probably my least favorite one of all the Metal Slug games, and it's because of the ending. It is so fucking long. There are many branching paths that you can take to get to the same goal. So this makes the game well worth exploring in subsequent playthroughs after you beat it the first time, because, like I said, there's more than one way to get to the end. Overall, this game is iconic. From the heavy machine gun to the shooting, tons of deaths, continues and lost quarters, to the colorful graphics, amazing music, and detailed backgrounds.
Thank you.
Metal Slug 1 through 3 is a game that if you see in the arcade, you should definitely put in a few dollars worth of quarters to experience. This game gets a solid 4.5 stars. Do you agree with that?
I mean, I don't have much gaming experience, but I did have fun with it. That last one got on my nerves, but
like I said, that's the one that I like the least, because that one scrolling segment where you have to get into the mothership, it lasts for fucking ever.
It was giving me a headache.
It's an hour-long game, and like 25 minutes is just getting into the fucking mothership.
It's awful.
But once you're inside, it gets better. But, God. All right, so you know what time it is?
I do.
It's something that we haven't done in 5 weeks. Are you ready?
I don't know, because I'm afraid this is going to be a real long one.
It doesn't matter. So what time is it?
It's time for Give Me the Garbage.
All right, that is Give Me the Garbage. So before you start, I just wanted to say I really miss that fucking song, even though we didn't hear it right now while we were just sitting here in silence, so we could get.
Say, what the hell are you talking about?
So we could get the dead air, so that I could put the song in. I really miss that song.
I'm glad you were able to be reunited with your song.
I love it so much. All right, so you want to tell me where we're eating this week?
The Keg Social in Orlando. So we went here primarily because one of my coworkers and her husband posted pictures of their food from there on Facebook. Chris saw it, thought about the fact that he'd driven past it recently and was like, oh, let's go there. But the thing is, there are lots of problems with this place. Most of them aren't even food related. It's in a terrible location, which is likely why whatever the hell was there before failed. You know
what's one of the things that surprises me the most about this place?
What?
It is fucking massive.
It is huge.
It is humongous. It is such a huge fucking building.
It reminds me of like something you would find at Disney Springs. It's so big.
But you would find
much shit in there.
You would find like 4 other stores inside.
Yeah. Okay. So second and probably the biggest thing is that it simply tries to be too much. They put all of their eggs into all of the baskets, but like don't advertise what those baskets are well enough to do proper business. On top of the fact that you would literally never find this place unless you just happen to drive down the 408 and notice it from the bridge.
Yeah. Yeah.
But let's get into the food first, since that's what we're really here for, and then we'll go into our full takedown. So for appetizers, we had the pretzel rolls, the truffle fries. The truffle fries were tasty.
I actually did enjoy the truffle fries because the truffle fries were just fries coated in Parmesan, and then the aioli they gave you had the truffle in it. So if you needed a break from the truffle or you needed too much, you wanted more or less truffle, you just have to, measure your dip. I think that was pretty smart. That I did enjoy a lot. And the fries were actually pretty good.
They were hot. They were crispy. They were seasoned well. The pretzel rolls themselves were not bad by any means.
They were good.
They were nice and warm and, crispy and soft. But when I get pretzels or pretzel rolls, I'm mainly getting it for the beer cheese dip. It was awful. It was very floury.
It had, I don't know if they put too much flour, if they didn't cook the flour enough, but
that's all you could taste.
Yeah, it was like a hint of cheese, flour,
no beer,
and cream. No beer. I didn't taste any beer. Mm-mm. And the herb butter was okay. Now, I did really like that jam.
I didn't.
That jam, let me see exactly what that jam was. So it was a porter bacon jam. I think it was really good. It kind of supplemented the need for mustard or honey mustard because it was very acidy. And it had a really good flavor. I could eat that bacon jam on a rock from how good I thought it was. You didn't like it?
It was way too strong.
That's what I liked about it. It was just
awful.
A punch of acid and flavor in your mouth.
I was not a fan. So for my meal, I got the keg burger, which has IPA braised onions. I don't know why I ordered this. House peppered beer bacon, roasted tomato, lettuce, Irish cheddar cheese, and Parmesan Hefeweizen aioli. It sounds like some fancy shit now that I look at it, but it's not fancy at all. The meat was cooked very well.
Actually, it was really good meat.
It was.
It was actually very, very good meat.
But they didn't do anything to it except cook it.
Yeah.
That is literally all they did. They cooked it and they slapped the toppings on it.
You know what it kind of reminded me of? That one burger that I had at Toothsome. Mm-hmm. That's supposed to have pineapple and whatever inside. And when I bit into it, even the pineapple tasted like nothing. It was just nothing. Mm-hmm. And between buns that tasted like nothing, with bacon that tasted like nothing, with nothing and nothing. Mm-hmm. It's kind of what it reminded me of, except that the beef did have good natural flavor and texture, just no seasoning at all, no anything. I mean, what the hell? All this crap that you put on it and you somehow can't get any flavor in it?
It was very bland. I would say it was the most bland burger I've ever had, but we had that at Twisted Root, so...
Those were bland and hard.
Those were awful.
Now, apart from the burger, I did have the TKS...
The Keg Social.
The TKS Cuban. Lately, I've been wanting to have a good Cuban sandwich because I don't think I've ever actually had a Cuban sandwich where I've been like, I want to try that shit again. And this one is almost there. It does have a few mistakes.
You're so nice.
It is house smoked pulled pork, sliced ham, fresh pickles, Swiss cheese, IPA mustard, and house stout barbecue sauce. Instead of using pernil, using pulled pork, good idea. It actually is a really good idea. The fresh pickles were amazing. The sliced ham, how can you fuck that up? The house barbecue stout, I wish it would have been on the side, or less of, and I really, really needed more mustard. I cannot taste the mustard in it, and all I could taste was the sweet barbecue stout, which it tasted good, but after half a sandwich, I need something else. So it's a good thing we had those truffle fries to dip, because... And I also have the barbecue chips.
Oh, yeah.
With the sandwich. And I thought it was just going to be a bag of barbecue chips, of Lay's barbecue chips or something like that. Nope, it was homemade barbecue chips. They were really fucking good. They were really, really good. I did not think that homemade barbecue chips could be that good. So there's really good things in this place.
And there are really, really bad things.
And a lot of mediocre things.
Yes.
Because it has the makings of a good bar to go eat and shit, but I don't know if it's because they're getting their foot up or whatever, but it missed a lot of steps that shouldn't have been missed.
Yeah, so let's get into the nitty-gritty of the overall experience.
All right.
So, let me tell you why this place sucks. It is awesome.
Okay, in theory, it is fucking awesome. Everything inside is super cool.
It's really cool.
Just walking around is super cool, but
they didn't execute it well, and they did not hire people that care.
I also think they have way too many people.
Way too many. You need to fire all the ones that don't care. Just hire new staff.
So if you see them standing and talking, fire them.
So it's super awesome that they have a temperature checker. Let's just go ahead and start by saying that, because a lot of restaurants do not. I think we've only been to 2 restaurants now, including this one, that have temperature check when you enter. Really? We haven't rated it, but Susaru. That's the only other restaurant we've been in that has temperature checking.
We need to go to Susaru again.
So, like I said, it's awesome that you have a temperature checker, but maybe your temperature checker should not be dressed up to the point that we think we've walked into a fucking sports bar with a dress code. You're checking temperatures. You do not need to be dressed for a 5-star event.
I felt like we were going into a club when I saw him dressed like that.
I thought we needed to turn around and go back to the car. Walking into this place and not knowing exactly what it is or what they offer is really overwhelming. There's a ton of staff just standing around, talking to each other, not having a care in the world for what they are actually being paid to do, which is to have a care for the customer rather than the hottest goss. Once we figured out where the fuck the hostess stand was, because let me just say, it is very poorly placed. The hostess asked where we wanted to sit. Our response was, we've never been here before, so we really don't know what our options are. You would think that she'd then, I don't know, tell us what the fuck our options are, but no, she doesn't.
She said you can sit whenever you want.
So she leads us to the most fat, unfriendly seating area either of us has ever experienced. Okay, like I am not asking everyone to be fat conscious in every aspect of their life. I get it. Not everyone is fat. But, personally, being a large woman, I've been overweight my entire life. I have never had a problem fitting into a booth before, and I did not gain a fuck ton of weight overnight. These booths are literally not built for people bigger than people you would see on The Bachelor and Bachelorette.
What is this, a booth for ants?
Like, the average person would be uncomfortable in these booths. Needless to say, we got up and moved to a table, which was also uncomfortable.
The thing is that the seats are actually not uniform throughout the restaurant, because we had really uncomfortable seats, and we looked to the long table with like 7 chairs in it.
We needed a high-top table with high-top chairs. That's where we would have been comfortable.
Yeah, I actually don't like high tops.
Yeah,
because I'm 6'3".
But it would have been better there.
Yeah, I'm just sick of being so high up. Can I please just go back to the ground?
Oh no, I like it that you're tall.
Okay. So what else do you have?
So our experience just got progressively worse from there. They changed our waiter right after we placed our drink order, and the new waitress only came back to the table once. So that was fun. Good thing I didn't choke on my burger and need some fucking water.
You're so angry.
Oh, man, I was so mad. Oh, I was so mad.
You're turning into Karen.
You better be glad that I didn't have the pen signing that check. Cut my hair and everything. Call me Karen if you want. My name won't be mispronounced as often.
There wasn't really that many people there. I know the bar area was kind of full.
And it was a Friday night.
I think the thing that kind of put me off of it a little bit, I was trying to have, good hopes, and I was all for the good experience, and I was progressively let down. The whole place smelled like paint. They didn't even let the paint dry before they started putting people inside.
It really did.
So we finished our food. We walked around. We looked at the arcade machines. You know, next to the bar, they have the classics. You know, your Galagas, Donkey Kongs, fucking Pac-Man.
But right now, I would be uncomfortable playing those because they're so close to people sitting there having their meal. Like,
yeah, that's true.
They're not distanced.
And then across from that, behind the bar, you have the bowling alley.
There is a fucking bowling alley
Which
in
is
this restaurant.
It's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
In theory,
Next
if you had a better location, it would make more sense.
Yeah. Next to the bowling alley, you have the arcade.
There was no one in that arcade.
No, there was. It's also hidden in the back.
There was a kid cleaning it. That was it.
At least
there were two families bowling.
At least they had somebody cleaning it.
That's true.
But it's hidden in the back. You can't see it. And when you walk in and all you can see is like Donkey Kong and Galaga, you're just going to play Donkey Kong and Galaga because you can't see that they have Halo Firefalls all the way in the fucking back.
A whole arcade.
You can't see that they have Super Hang-On in the back so you can play your fucking motorcycle racing games or...
Didn't they have like Game of Thrones or something?
Game of Thrones or pinball machines. They had a shit ton of really fucking cool pinball machines. They had
and that air hockey table with like 4 players.
The 4-player hockey table.
And the thingy that I like.
Skee ball?
Yeah, that thing.
Oh, and they also had basketball hoops, and each one of the hoops had a different basketball team logo on it. So it's like they have really fucking cool stuff to do. They have a fucking
Pac-Man.
Ping pong area. They have axe throwing. They have bowling. But I feel like where it fails is the people working there. Mm-hmm. They either don't care or they weren't trained right or they just are afraid of talking to people.
Because here's how I would have expected this to go. We would have told the hostess that we'd never been there before. She would have said, well, do you know what all we have to offer? She would have told us about everything that's going on in all of the sections. She would have told us the advantages to sitting upstairs or downstairs. You know, if you want to go bowling after you're done eating, just let your waitress know and we'll get it set up for you. Stuff like that. Like,
yeah, I mean...
we literally wouldn't have known if we hadn't walked through on our own.
Yeah. And the other thing is, fine, I know COVID, lockdown, whatever, but that doesn't mean that you can stand around talking to your fellow coworkers and not your customers. I mean, if you do have customers and you're comfortable talking like that with your coworkers, just go say hi. How's your meal? What's going on? How can I help you? It's your first time? How are you liking it? And again, really cool shit, but
awesome idea. Poor execution.
I think the poor execution is just the employees.
Yeah. Get better staff.
Train them better.
Yeah.
All you need to do is just train them better.
You want to make money? Just have them do those simple things. I feel like we would have been far more likely. Granted, we were broke. I feel like we would have been far more likely.
No, we weren't. We had just gotten our stimulus checks at the same
broke.
time. We were gonna spend $1,200 of stimulus money on your arcade machines. We're gonna play Halo forever.
But I feel like we would have been more likely to do one of those things if we had been encouraged or, more well informed about what there was.
Yeah. But I'm not against going back. I think that if we give it, I don't know, like 3 or 4 months till they start getting their shit kind of together,
until they get shut down.
I don't think they're going to get shut down because the Firkin Kegler was there forever.
That's
and
true.
That place was hidden in the back, and I never heard anybody talking about that fucking place. I knew it was back there because I went there once with my aunt, with Drog-Aunt. So, I don't think we got to a conclusion of what we're going to rate this place. Personally, I don't think it's garbage. I don't think...
It's not garbage.
It's definitely not garbage. I don't think it's meh.
It's okay.
It's okay. It's close to garbage. It's close, so... No?
No.
I think
it's closer to meh than it is to garbage.
I think the ideas are close to being garbage if they're done perfectly, because that Cuban sandwich, all it needed was that mustard to cut through all that fucking sweet. And those pretzels, that cheese sauce needed to be a little bit better.
Season your meat.
And season your meat on the fucking burgers.
There's some salt even. Jesus.
Something. But again, like I said, maybe we'll try it in a couple of months, see if it's better. But for now, we're gonna give it Mihawk. A Mihawk. It's meh. It's okay. Go.
A Mohawk.
A Mohawk. Go experience it by yourself. See what you think. This is just our opinion. It doesn't mean that this is a fact.
You could have the coolest experience ever.
Hell, people on the table next to us might have had the best food of their entire lives there because the food was cooked different and better. You know, we just might have gotten the shorter end of the stick. But at least it wasn't fucking Twisted Root Burger.
Oh my god, we will never give it another chance. Never.
Let's get into some housekeeping. So, go sign up for our Patreon because we're giving away Persona 5 Royal Edition and House in the Cerulean Sea this month. You'll find the link in the show notes. $2 a month gets you entered. And like I said, we're preparing a super garbage explosion that's going to be fucking amazing. It's going to be probably a full episode of garbage. That's going to be so fucking good. And we're going to upload that probably Sunday onto our Patreon. So make sure you're subscribed for that. Remember to follow us on Instagram and Twitter at anovelconsole and on Facebook at facebook.com/anovelconsole. Don't forget you can also tell your friends that they can find the podcast on most major podcast streaming platforms and that they can also listen on YouTube by searching for A Novel Console. Don't forget to tell them to subscribe, like, and comment, which we'd like if they did so. You should also leave us a review on Apple Podcasts and Google Podcasts so that more people can find us. Oh, and we are starting to use this thing called novelconsole.card.com,
no,
right?
.co. It's a novelconsole.carrd.co.
Right, so we're going to also put that in the show notes, and you can click on that, or you can copy and paste it wherever you want, and you can find our podcast wherever you want to listen to it. If you don't have Spotify, you can find it literally everywhere else. It'll also give you the link to our socials, to our Patreon,
YouTube,
email, every fucking thing. Everywhere you can find us, it'll be on that thing. So if you see it, don't think it's a scam, because it's not a scam, even though we are scamming you into listening to our podcast because we like it when you listen.
And we want your money on Patreon.
And you can also email us at anovelconsole@gmail.com, and we will read your email or the show, or we won't, depending on whatever you want. We don't care. Just tell us what you want us to do.
Looking at you, France.
And our art was done by Metamorphic on Instagram. You can find her link in the show notes. And with that, we are done with our first real episode of the year, and it only took us 20 days since the year started to do it.
I need some wine.
We can't find that fucking wine anymore.
Y'all, I'm devastated.
All right, so how did you feel about our first week in the arcade?
It was fun.
We have definitely one more to go. I'm not entirely sure about the third one, but definitely one more. Are you ready for more?
As long as it doesn't give me a headache.
I don't think it will.
Okay.
All right, so you ready to say goodbye to everyone, Karradyne?
Goodbye.
Goodbye, everyone.